Hey, this is for you, Lisa, and I don't know how many of my videos you've ever seen before, but I'm just because I just want to be able to put this in your window and not put it up on YouTube per se, and try and keep this as short as I can, particularly as it relates to the yoga sun stuff. Being a breatharian, right, which means you're self-generating, right, and I've experienced that. I know what it's like to experience that. And essentially means you're pure energy, pure consciousness energy, because I'm already pre-phased matter consciousness, which means inside time, outside time, or in the body, outside of the body, or in no matter, massless consciousness, which means you're not needing energy from anything because you're experiencing eternal love. So that means that you have a connection to an eternal sun. So you see how that works, right? Which means God is not going to do anything to harm itself by the harm that we do to others. So I realize when you get into the genetics and the angelic humans, which would be all the original 12 tribes, right? And we get into tribal bands, and bands are with the wave that can hold frequencies through the entire chakra system, right? So you get into the 12 tribes and you can start listing them off: the Lakota, the Cherokees, the Navajos, et cetera, right? And this is where I had a difficult time when I was a child growing up, okay? When I realized that there are different levels of empathy, okay? Because, when you have a God connection, I'm experiencing eternal unconditional love through my heart, okay? Then that means that anytime that I experience a loss of voltage in another, which means it doesn't matter what it is. It could be an eagle, it could be a hawk, it could be a dolphin, it could be you, it could be a tree. I cry because now I experience a loss of energy in it, no matter what it is. Okay? So now I have to restore it in order to restore me. So that whatever was losing energy, when you realize that an eternal sun is accelerating the speed of voltage, which is eternal electrified sound and light currents. Okay? So that means that I knew when I was a small child at 4 years of age, I'm in an energy harvesting system. Okay? Now, the reason this is important when it comes to the clans and the tribes is because I realize that even though Patty Broussard, Gaia Shaman, Micmac tribe would say that the tribes and the clans are already ascended beings, okay, and how we define what it means to be ascended in states of consciousness as related to the frequencies of consciousness that consciousness is experiencing on a higher bandwidth level, which deals with the bandwidth perception, vibration of what we experience at the very core of who we are as a star. So if you're at the center point of a star, of an eternal star, then you're experiencing perfect balance at the center point of that eternal sun, which means you're experiencing non-polarity. That means that any debris field that is represented by a war between one antenna and another antenna, one Indian against another Indian, an Indian against a buffalo, an Indian against an eagle. Anytime that an antenna, which is DNA, is using its energy, right, to kill another, no matter what it is, okay, then that means that that's going to be held in that being's cellular memory as a result of the loss that it's experienced in itself, as a result of the loss of energy in another that it thus did by the use of its energy. So this is one of the reasons why I sort of keep quiet with this, particularly with Mohawk and some of the others that would hammer on the white man did this, the white man did this, the white man did this, and then I would remind him, but I don't say these things. That listen, you're not ever going to find me running down the middle of the plains when the Plains Indians were killing buffalo, because I give love to a buffalo. So the same love do I give to a buffalo is the same love I give to you, which means God, an eternal God, which is eternal unconditional life, is not making a differentiation in a matrix or in a reality stream between what is getting love. It's all experiencing what love is. So that's why as a child, I realized that I had left home, but I'm always at home, which is the breath of aloha, because every time that I take a breath, I'm experiencing what love is. So what I do to you, I do to myself. So what happened to all these Indians? Why are they choosing to use their energy to kill things off in nature? Now, I cross-translated this when I would see Indians wearing bonnets with feathers. So I'd say, oh, okay, I know where those feathers came from. They came from a bird. That bird was born free, right? So then I'm thinking, well, where did you get those feathers? Did the bird give you those feathers to put them on your head? Or did you kill the bird in order to put the feathers on your head? So I realized that there were a lot of things that Indians would do that I would never do. So they're not the same as me. Even though you can put this through the context of the genetics of why the original human angelics, which represent the original 12 tribes and clans, that genetic form through the evolution of its consciousness was designed to become galactic guardians and universal and galactic guardians. Right? Well, a guardian isn't a real guardian if it's got a connection to an eternal sun that's experiencing eternal unconditional love. Is not going to go around doing things to get energy from others because it's experiencing eternal energy as an eternal energy being. Now we're back to the yoga sun, right? Not needing to consume any food or water because you can self-generate H2O, which means all the elements that make up, if you will, the energy structure upon which we are what energy is. I'm not needing any energy from any other source of energy in order to maintain what I'm aware of in energy, which is my consciousness. That's pure God consciousness. That means you can manifest in form, whatever form you choose to present yourself in an energetic environment without needing a source of energy from anything else. You see? So how are the tribes going to translate that? I mentioned that to Karen, okay? Because I've had to heal myself my entire life. And I haven't had the benefit of using, if you will, something else that I hold in memory, like running around with a Genius app like Karen uses. And I'm not making a judgment in this case, because there is a big difference between a judgment and an observation. Okay? So, for example, if I see somebody that's out there on a horse and shooting a buffalo, right? Then I'm not making a judgment. I'm making an observation of something that I would never do, but I'm watching somebody else do that. And the reason that I wouldn't do that is because harming another is harming myself, because I'm experiencing eternity. So any loss of energy I experience in another as a result in the use of my own energy is not very intelligent, is it? Okay? So in other words, we're not in the business of taking energy or sucking energy out of others as a result of our need to use our energy in such a way in which that happens. So now we're at the underlying causality. So that's a simple observation, because that's your mirror. Right? So you're running a mirror, which is a magnet. So that means what I do to you in my mirror, I'm going to experience the result of that. So if you're experiencing an eternal state of love and harmony and balance, because you're in eternal harmony and balance between two poles, because you're experiencing non-polarized consciousness, then I'm getting all the energy that I need in order to experience eternal love. Right? Because that's what heals us. So that means that you can self-generate the energy that you need by having elemental command. Elements like hydrogen, oxygen, which means you're getting everything that you need to maintain what you're aware of in energy. That means you can self-generate what you need by the elemental command in order to repair your own avatar, your own biocomputer. See what I'm saying? So I'll just leave it at that for now. But I wanted to thank you for the Sun Yoga stuff, because yeah, that's another level of that's like another level, right? Yeah. So because of you sharing that is why I'm sharing this with you, because I've pretty much kept my mouth shut, because when you're in the healing business, because of why we're here to begin with as a salvage mission, I don't do things in order to lower somebody else's frequency, right? So now, because we're in a reaction state between the two poles, right? So in other words, you don't want to do anything that's going to cause a negative magnetic reaction state in somebody else by virtue of what I communicate as a result of what I observe. Right? So I had to bite the bullet ever since I was a little boy. But just don't say nothing. Just don't say nothing, because you're on a mission. right? Because it's about healing, right? That's why when I was a small child, and I've said this throughout a number of videos that I did, is making a measurement across the planetary terrain of how much healing is actually necessary. So we're talking about healing not just at the human level, but at every cellular level. Okay? Because remember, every time that a bomb goes off, mama feels it. Okay? Every time that something is killed in the ocean, mama feels it. Love is the law, and it's no longer negotiable. You can't be what love is and harm another without experiencing that harm you've done within your own self. Why would you do that to yourself? Because that's your mirror. So when you're killing something in your mirror, you're killing a part of yourself that you were once giving love to. So it's all about mirror management, or knowing how to manage a magnet, right? Magnetic light. What we record in our record by virtue of the use of our energy. So how fast are we learning? To accelerate what it is that we're learning in order to not need any energy from another. In order to do what? Lower our density. So now we're into losing mass and gaining speed, gaining mass and losing speed. So they keep losing speed, which means they're maintaining their perception of something else that is feeding on them, right? Because they're mimicking the same behavior of killers in their own mirror. That's called reprogramming, or if you will, assimilation. So what we're saying here is that they began following the practices of fallen units of consciousness because you have fallen angelics here, which would be Indians that have fallen. Okay? And a lot of that comes from breeding with other fallen, because those codes transfer and thus mutate. And when they mutate, that means they're no longer experiencing the codes that were once there that were meant to fire. So you have a lot of codes that are not firing as a result of the fact that they have not been able to reset their avatar amongst the tribal community. Karen's aware of this. You know, she's a clan mother. She's supposed to know, right? Okay. Anyway, have a great day.